In 1939, in the quiet mountains of northern Laos, a leadership change was in the making. A 30-year-old Hmong leader named Touby Lyfoung was elected Tasseng, or sub-district chief of Keng Khoai. Backed by French officials, he defeated his uncle in a local election, marking the start of a political transformation for the Hmong people. Son of a local administrator named Lyfoung, Touby and his brothers would be sent to schooling in faraway Vietnam. They were educated in a French school in Vinh, Vietnam. Once Touby returned home, he understood both tribal custom and colonial bureaucracy. He didn't just hold power, he built it. After he was subsequently elected Tasseng, Touby got to work putting his Western education and fluency in Hmong culture into practice. Birth records, tax rolls, and village reports were written, stamped, and filed. For the first time in Hmong history, governance was put on a systematic paper system. The French took notice. Roads improved, schools opened, clinics were funded. Assignments from the provincial capital came, like the border dispute issue between colonial Laos and Vietnam. Touby led a commission to the border villages and presented a satisfactory report to the French governor over Laos, settling the demarcation line. Touby turned a remote highland post into a functioning district, and the Hmong were finally being seen. Nong Het district became one of the most powerful Hmong-led areas in all of Indochina. Then came the Japanese. In 1940, they occupied French Indochina. Once France fell to Nazi Germany, French Indochina under the Vichy regime in France was turned over to the Japanese. It was used by the Japanese Imperial Army as a staging area in their invasion of the rest of China and the other parts of Southeast Asia. Nong Het, Touby's district, became a front line. But Touby chose neither resistance nor surrender. He traded goods discreetly, hosted the invaders politely, and watched everything. In 1945, free French paratroopers returned to Laos, searching for allies. They found Touby. Together they built a secret resistance in the Mua clan jungle village of Puru, rallying his Li kinsmen and other Hmong around Nong Het. However, Touby's rival and uncle Lao King informed the Japanese. Touby was arrested, but fortunately, a local French bishop named Meizoye warned the Japanese commander. If Touby dies, the mountains will rise. The Japanese released him, but the resistance was already moving. The final straw. Hmong villagers saw French prisoners paraded like cattle, noses pierced with rings. Honor demanded action. The Hmong clans united, fighters assembled. The Hmong became warriors. Touby and the Hmong, along with the French forces, conducted hit-and-run raids on Japanese convoys, moving from Vietnam into the capitals of Laos. They became a nuisance to the Japanese army. That summer, by the time Japan surrendered, there was a leaderless Laos, worn down by occupation and war. It turned to those who stood tall. Touby rose to the occasion. When the Allied powers gave nationalist China authority to liberate Laos north of the 16th parallel, the nationalist Chinese army came to Nong Het. Seeing Chinese armies ravaging other parts of Laos, Touby negotiated with the Chinese generals. The Chinese troops turned around in the face of Touby's determined leadership, and they left Nong Het unharmed. In 1946, after the Lao Isara and Viet Minh rose, trying to overthrow royal authority inside of Laos, Touby answered the call again. He led 3,000 Hmong and French allies to retake Xieng Khouang city. A night raid on a fortified temple tipped the battle. By sunrise, the city was theirs, and the Hmong had proven themselves on the national stage. Next, Touby ordered his brother Thulia to free the king of Laos from captivity under the Lao Isara and Viet Minh. The Hmong rescued the king and even led a procession through Luang Prabang city, showing Laos and the king that the Hmong were a worthwhile people for the future of the nation. In return, Touby was named Tao Mung Nyao, mayor of the Hmong, and granted royal honors. Hmong clan leaders that joined Touby, like Muatsum Tua of Pudu, were also rewarded titles. From 17 Tassengs before the war, the Hmong was now granted 24 new Tasseng district chieftains. Touby's younger brothers, Tunzal and Tuliar, now entered national government, becoming General Director of the Ministry of Justice and a member of the National Assembly, respectively. From the margins, the Hmong had become architects of the Lao state. Touby's rise wasn't just about war. He brought the Hmong into modern Laos through diplomacy, administration, and loyalty. He proved that a people, long dismissed, could rewrite the fate of the kingdom.